stand and join me in singing. Up, up, up to a higher place. Up, 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 far beyond this time and space. Up, up, up to a higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. Up, up, up to a higher place. Up, 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 far beyond this time and space. Up, up, up to a higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. Higher place, higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. Higher place, higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. No more forward, no more backward, no more spinning round and round. My life is moving ever upward. My feet are leaving the ground. Up, up to a higher place. Up, 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 far beyond this time and space. Up, up, up to a higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. Higher place, higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. Higher place, higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. No more downward, no more darkness, no more wondering the point of it all. My life is destined, oh, for greatness. My soul has answered the call. Up, up to a higher place. Up, 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 far beyond this time and space. Up, up, up to a higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. Up, up, up to a higher place. Up, 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 far beyond this time and space. Up, up to a higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. Higher place, higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. Higher place, higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. I feel my soul rising to a higher place.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Unity of Columbia. And I'm so glad to see you all here on this Easter Sunday morning. Just know that you're most welcome here on this special day. And let's please welcome those who have joined us online. And I know there's heaps of them, so give them a wave, please. Well, last week you might have noticed I wasn't here, and I was very disappointed because I wanted to be here for Palm Sunday. But I became sick during that night. And I want to say a big thank you to two people. The first one is Beverly, who went to great lengths to get palm leaves for Palm Sunday, and we still have them here today. And also a big thank you to Bill Chapman, whom I texted from my sick bed at the last minute and said, "Can you do the Sunday service?" And he said, "Sure." And he just stepped in at very little notice. So thank you, Bill. So here's a truth that I know about all of you, and that is that you are unique expressions of who you've come here to be. You've come here with a holy purpose, and I want you to tell your neighbor, "I'm here for a holy purpose." Well, we've been making our way through Lent for the last 40 days. There's been lots of letting go and releasing. And the last week, we've been walking through what's referred to as the Holy Week of Easter. And my prayer for each one of you is that you have been lifted up during this season. So let's please stand and greet each other and say, "I am lifted up." Please be seated. Please be seated. We now have the Bells Choir performing.
After that, we are lifted up. Good morning. What a beautiful Easter day. A little cloudy coming and going, but warm, and that's so welcome. My name is Bill, and I have the honor to be the facilitator this morning. First, we are grateful for all who contribute to our service today. Welcome everyone to Unity of Columbia. Thank you to those of you joining us online. We've already waved at you, so don't expect more. And thank you for those in the sanctuary. And we're so happy to see the children here today. I love having them here. We ask that you make sure your cell phone is off. And we especially want to welcome you if this is your first time. There is a welcome packet for you today. You can get it in the foyer. Today's reading is by Georgiana Tree West. Now, I had to ask Carol who she was, and she is a classic, original Unity author, which has written a lot of books, and we all ought to chase them down, from what I understand. One of the most valuable ways of observing the Lenten season is to fast from, lose, and let go the belief that man or nations can stand in the way of God's goodwill for man. Now is the time to affirm the power of the Christ Spirit indwelling in all men everywhere and influencing their thoughts, words, and actions to work for the good of the whole. Now we continue our prosperity thought of the day, written by participants in the recent prosperity classes. Today's prosperity thought is written by Mary and Nancy. I am secure in all I do, for I know my oneness is with the divine. My prosperity is within me, not in outer things. Each day provides the opportunity to reaffirm this truth. Let's affirm together. I live each day knowing that I am living in divine abundance. Now, let us join me in affirming our vision, mission, and core values. Our vision is we celebrate a spiritually awakened world. And our mission is we inspire the awakening and practice of divine love in every heart. In addition, we celebrate our core values, knowing that we have come here to be spirit-centered and to express the values of love, peace, and connection. Now, let's go into the announcements. Reverend Ann, and of course Joel, will be on annual leave from April 3rd through the 19th. During this time, please leave any important messages at the Unity office or contact the board. Carol Schultz will be the spiritual head of the church during this period. We wish you, Ann and Joel, a wonderful 2 weeks. Let's give it. Now, the April book study. The 4 Agreements with Carol Schultz begins next week on Tuesdays at 7 p.m. or Wednesdays at 11 a.m. You will need to sign up today if you would like to be a part of these classes. The sign-up is also in the foyer. Now, Steph, would you come to the podium?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Well, when I came in this morning, I was greeted not just by people, but also by daffodils, Easter lilies, red buds, and the blue vinca on the ground. And if you enjoy the grounds here, you should know that this is due to the work by the lawn care team and the landscaping team. And I'm here talking about the landscaping team because we're looking for volunteers and specifically new members. You do not have to be a master gardener to be on the landscaping team because a lot of the work is what I would term grunt work. We're looking for people with pickup trucks who can go pick up gravel and mulch and go dump yard waste at the recycling center. We're looking for people who can blow leaves, rake them, and bag them, pick up sticks from the willow tree, etc. No experience necessary. So, we particularly need general volunteers twice a year for the cleanup days. We will have one coming up in early May, and there'll be another one in October. So when you see that advertised, please sign up for it. And even more importantly, we need people to be on a committed team because the growing season is long, and we need people to take care of watering and also weeding, you know, the people who know a weed from a real plant, right? And pruning. Otherwise, we may have some fairly hacked bushes. So we need people with some knowledge to help with general cleanup, certainly from this time of year right through to October, and I believe landscaping team also helps with cleanup in the winter when we get leaves blown around near the entrance. So there's an informational meeting coming up next Sunday, April the 7th, after the service at 11:15, and in the living room. So please attend that meeting, especially you at home, you know, watching this on Zoom or YouTube. You can come as well. And if you can't make next week, please stop and ask me any questions you have, or just let me know you'd like to sign up. Thank you.
Well, kind of a sad AV announcement. Amy McGovern has accepted the position of worship Technology Director at Broadway Christian Church. First of all, congratulations, Amy. We appreciate her contribution and commitment to the AV team at Unity of Columbia. We're going to miss you. Her last Sunday will be April 28th. Now, Krista, where's... it's your turn. There's at least two of you coming.
Any moment now, guys. I'm just going to quickly talk about what we're going to do after the service for the children today. We do have an egg hunt, and we'll be meeting in front of the front doors there, where we'll go over a few ground rules and then let everyone go. They'll find as many eggs as they can, and then we have like a couple crafts set up in the solar gallery, and you'll take the eggs that you got, the plastic eggs, and put them back in a little tote that we have so we can reuse them for next year, and we'll give you little bags to take your goodies home with you. So after the service, if you are young enough to enjoy our Easter egg hunt, or just want to watch, you will be out front, in front of those front doors. Okay.
Thank you. Today's daily word reading the word is arise. The affirmation, I rise to accept new life and renewal. Jesus rose above all limitations, transcending darkness to light and death to life. His overcoming death is the ultimate inspiration and example for humankind, a precious gift of hope and renewal. This Easter, I gratefully accept my renewal as I awaken to the call of the divine. I turn to the Christ presence within me and discover life and energy, lifting me into a higher awareness and understanding of spiritual truth. In so doing, I leave behind that which held me in bondage. I rise above limiting beliefs, habits, and actions. With unwavering faith, I rise to accept inspiration, new possibilities, and the fullness of God's glorious life, love, and grace. 1 Peter 1-3. Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ. By the great mercy he has given us a new birth into the living hope through the resurrection of Jesus Christ from the dead. Now, let's say together our affirmation. I rise to accept new life and renewal. And now let's say it quietly to ourselves.
Christ the Lord is risen today. Alleluia. Drums of men and angels say, Alleluia. Raise your joys and triumphs.
As the dawn breaks on this Easter morning, let us embark on a meditation that delves into the profound symbolism of rising up and transformation, echoing the essence of this sacred day. Close your eyes and breathe deeply, allowing the stillness of the moment to envelop you. Feel the rhythm of your breath, steady and gentle, like the ebb and flow of life itself. The breath of life is not merely the breathing apparatus in our physical body, but it is the spark of conscious awareness in us. The spark of consciousness in us, what makes us what we are. It is the awareness of you as a living, unique being that is best described when we say, I am God's infinite consciousness, as the universal life force is the source of the life which we call our life, and which in its pure and natural state, the healing power of the universe. Imagine yourself standing at the threshold of a new beginning, much like the dawn of Easter. You may have faced trials and tribulations, moments of despair and darkness, but today marks a rebirth for us to a chance to renew. Gently consider the areas of your life where you seek renewal and transformation. Is it in your relationships, your career, your spiritual journey, or perhaps within yourself? Allow these thoughts to gently surface, acknowledging any fears or doubts that may arise. With each breath, affirm your capacity to rise above adversity, to embrace change, and to step into the fullness of your potential. As you continue to meditate, visualize yourself embodying the qualities of rebirth and transformation, strength, flexibility, and an unwavering spirit. Feel the energy of renewal coursing through every fiber of your being, infusing you with a sense of purpose and empowerment. Now we enter our silent meditation time. We widen the space within ourselves for the peace of God's infinite consciousness to deepen its hold upon us. If you are anxious about something, if you feel a little impatient to get on with things, take a conscious breath and slow down for just a moment so as to sense the oneness of our Unity of Columbia community as we practice the divine presence that we all share in this silence. As you slowly open your eyes, carry with you this spirit of Easter, a reminder of the eternal cycle of life, death, and rebirth. May you walk forth with fearless grace, embracing the transformative power that resides within you now and always. And so it is. Amen.
Praise the Lord is risen today. Hallelujah. Son of man and angels sing. Hallelujah. Raise your joys and triumphs high. Hallelujah. Sing the heavens and sky.
On this Easter Sunday morning, I want to share with you the story that is written in all of the four Gospels. But I'm going to say it in my own words and perhaps in a more mystical and metaphysical way. The story begins with the entry into Jerusalem. Jesus rides into the holy city on a donkey. He enters the city in peace and with humility. The crowd are gathered along the streets and they've laid palm leaves on the road, and there's great excitement because the Messiah is coming, and they shout out, "Hosanna, Hosanna," praise to the Messiah. And this is how the story begins. But we know that it doesn't end so well. One of the 12 disciples, Judas, goes to the chief priest and he says, "What will you give me if I hand him over to you?" And the priest says, 30 pieces of silver. And we know that the next Thursday, Jesus is arrested, and Friday he is crucified. And this is the story of the Messiah that the people were so excited about, but who later shouted out, "Crucify him, crucify him." Jesus' body is placed in the tomb, and the women take spices that they've prepared, and when they get to the tomb, they see that the rock has been rolled away from the entry. And they enter the tomb, but do not find a body. And the men say to them, "Why do you look for the living among the dead? He is not here. He is risen." The Easter story is a tragic one, and yet it's to become Jesus' greatest moment, a story of crucifixion, resurrection, and ascension.
Thank you, Bell Choir, that lovely melody, Be Thou My Vision. I remember when I first heard that song, Randy and Betty Fletcher singing it at our Unity of Columbia. So I'm Carol Schultz, and I've got the topic of crucifixion. You may say, well, this is Easter Sunday. Why are we going back in time to the crucifixion? Well, it's because the story of Jesus' ministry, his whole 33 years, are part of his great plan of being our way shower, showing us how we can fully understand how we come into full Christ consciousness. Jesus' crucifixion was a final step in that work that had been going on in him throughout his whole ministry. His work on earth was to show humanity a way to evolve into the Christ-God consciousness, even to the point of giving up his whole life, his physical life, that is. So metaphysically, we don't view the crucifixion of Jesus as a great tragedy, but we view it as a step toward a great victory. And Jesus assured us that the same things he does, the same victory that we can also do. The things I do, you shall do, and even greater things is what he promised. If you Google crucifixion and metaphysics, you will just find a wealth of information that'll help you understand this concept a bit better. But I'll just focus on a few. In the Revealing Word, which is a glossary, a book of many of the definitions of words, metaphysical definitions, it says that crucifixion really means crossing out, and I think we've all heard that over the years. To quote the Revealing Word, it is the crossing out in consciousness of errors that have become fixed states of mind, the surrender or death of the whole human personality in order that the Christ mind may be expressed in all its fullness. So the crucifixion itself symbolizes a process of crossing out or eliminating what we call error thoughts, or thoughts and beliefs that no longer serve us. And so every time we give up an error thought, we are crucifying that thought. So I die daily, I am crucified daily each time I wipe out one of these negative thoughts that's impeding my growth in consciousness. Well, what are some of these error thoughts, you may ask, and beliefs that must be crucified? Well, I think of our first unity principle, for instance. There's only one presence and one power in the universe, God the good. And as you think about that, do you really believe that? Do you really believe that there's nothing in this life, no one here is against me, it's all here for me, it's all good. Everything that happens is for the good and for my spiritual growth. And so I have to crucify any thoughts of victimhood or blaming this person or that for my own personal experience, because I am creating my own personal experience. Any thoughts otherwise must be crucified in order for me to grow in consciousness. So each day we're asked to let go of something familiar. This spring has been a good example, hasn't it? Beautiful sunny day. We have to let go and let it freeze the next day. But it can be physical things like that. It can be intangible things. We're really required to let go of some things we really held precious. And one of the things I thought of was over the years, I've had to let go of my beloved CD collection of New Thought songs because my new car doesn't have a CD player. I have one at home, but then I remembered my beloved iPod that I carried so faithfully and loved and really enjoyed all the podcasts I could listen to. But then I went back, well, what about that Walkman cassette player? Just examples of things that I've had to let go of over the years, my beloved objects that now I have to crucify those and learn something new. We have so many examples. When we retire, we have to redefine ourselves. Who am I now as a person in this world? Any move, when you move to a new town, changes that we have to encounter. We have to crucify our old image and step up to the new image. Well, the crucifixion calls us to stay present for the endings and all the goodbyes in life, encouraging us to feel the depth of that loss, not to cross it over, but to go through the whole experience so that we can make room for that new life to emerge. Every death, be it physical, emotional, or spiritual, is a new beginning. So if we have the illusion that we lack anything, our true nature of wholeness, abundance, and joy can only come forth if we crucify that old idea that lack and limitation rules our life. This Lenten booklet that we've had has been so wonderful in pointing out all of the things that we can crucify this season. And I've identified a few of my own that really struck me this time. I need to crucify resentment, complaining, resistance to change, dissatisfaction, grudges, judgment, busyness, that's a big one for me, fear of illness, outdated beliefs like the stereotypes of physical aging and that I can't do some things because I'm aging, thoughts of lack in myself and others, blaming others. So these thoughts and beliefs are what I must crucify within my own consciousness in order to eliminate those and make a clear pathway for that Spirit of God to express that Christ more fully, to express my full divinity. Well, if you've read many of the writings of our co-founders, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore, you know that they don't mince words. They really come forth with a straightforward message. And I found a quote Charles Fillmore wrote in Unity magazine, May 28, 1905. Then we should quit wailing over the agony of the cross, quit looking at the Master, for the Master like Mary in the tomb, quit talking about death and the departure of Jesus, and realize the truth that Jesus went through the appearance called death to demonstrate for us its powerlessness in the face of one who had become one with God. So that's something that I really wanted to have sink into my consciousness this year, that was the master demonstration that we can also become one with God. Well, one final thought. While Jesus was on the cross, we are familiar with his 7 last words of Christ, and it's reported that his last words were, "It is finished." If we go through certain difficult and painful experiences and we're crucifying a lot of things in our life, we should learn the lesson that Jesus taught us on the cross. We go through them quickly, and then when we feel we've seen the lesson, then it's wise to say, as Jesus said, "It is finished." We hold no grudges, we nurse no hurt feelings, we carry no unhappy memories. It is finished. Let it go. It's done its work. Greater good is now in store, and we let the past bury the past. It is finished.
Hoorah. Thank you, Carol. Hi, I'm Lisa. I've been, for some inexplicable reason, asked to speak today. Thank you, Reverend Ann. I've sung here before, but this is my first time ever speaking in a church-like setting or a spiritual center, so here goes nothing. Y'all look like a friendly bunch. I'm so thankful to be here to commune with you all in person. I spend a lot of time YouTubing in. And I had a complicated relationship with Easter because of my childhood experiences in a traditional church. I was confused by the messages. I was a little disturbed by the messages. I didn't understand how I, at 6 years old, could be responsible for something that happened a few millennia ago. And I'm so grateful for Unity and its teachings and the emphasis on Jesus' teachings and what he had to teach us and demonstrate. And how those teachings that are from the Unity literature and teachers, but also from all over the world, can help us experience our own resurrections throughout our lives. So, as Carol so elegantly described, we all experience deaths or endings throughout our lives, and they can be painful. And I think that we are told we're fully human and fully divine. And so to honor the fully human as we endure through losses, the wonderful teacher, Unity minister, Ellen Davenport, author, she describes these endings like the end of relationships, the end of jobs, the end of life as we knew it before as metaphorical deaths. And she teaches that there's this moment that is needed, potentially, of entering into that tomb to recover and regroup and to experience that human emotion or grief or whatever it is that we need to experience as human beings. I think it can be tempting in spiritual work to jump ahead and think, well, what's wrong with me? I'm not quite in the light right now. But it's just another way that the ego has of saying you're not good enough, you're not spiritual enough, right? It's a lie. And so this idea of honoring those moments, that time, even in our busy lives, to feel the experience of those endings, those metaphorical deaths, and that's so important. Because on the other side of it, then we have a readiness and a willingness to reemerge from darkness into light. And we're ready when we're ready. I've heard the expression, and I have felt it myself, I'm so sick and tired of being sick and tired. So I am ready to emerge, but I'm only ready when I'm ready. And the good thing is that there's nobody checking their watch and being like, hurry on up. There's this force within each one of us that is guiding us forward into our spiritual growth. The lesson for the resurrection and the reemergence from the tomb is that nothing stays dark forever. If we all remember a moment of darkness in our lives, what we can say is, boy, that did not last forever, and thank God for that. Thank God. So whatever darkness one might be experiencing, light will inevitably shine. And where light shines, darkness is impossible. It just cannot exist. We are given new beginnings and fresh starts again and again and again. And again, I say thank God for that. Remember a fresh start or a new beginning or a second chance or a 100th chance that you might have experienced, even recently. Ah, thank God. So what resurrection means to me now, I can speak from my own experience briefly as a woman in recovery. I'm very open about it. Haven't had a drink in over 33 years. I was 6 years old when I got sober, just kidding. But I never had a legal drink. I finished when I was 20. I'd had enough. I'd had my share, believe me. So I was ready to emerge from the darkness and this feeling of death inside of me, the spiritual bankruptcy that I was experiencing, and to be transformed through a spiritual journey, to find a higher power of my understanding, to ask for help, to acknowledge my distorted thinking that needed correcting, those errors of thought and behavior. Believe me, I was no angel. But the transformation internally, it's taken years. And the good news is I hope to have another 33 years of growth. When I first got sober, I didn't know that I wanted to live another day. To watch for 33 years individuals coming into recovery at the lowest of the low, in so much darkness, feeling spiritual bankruptcy that feels like death inside of them, to be transformed, to ask for help, take stock, take that inventory, recognize the distorted thinking, the behaviors, the habits, the substances, and relationships perhaps that no longer serve their greatest good. And to let those things go, to crucify them, as Carol was talking about. What a miracle to watch these people go from victim to victor and overcome, to vessels of light and service and love. Unimaginable miracles, and yet we can imagine because they come true every moment. So for the message of Easter and the resurrection, whatever weighs heavily on our minds, whatever we're going through in life, however painful the losses, we can take the time and space to recover, regroup, have our full human experience, and reconnect with our true identity, the divine presence within, the divine that we all are, and reemerge into the light Spiritual connection and renewal are inevitable. They've already happened. The difference between Jesus and me is that he didn't forget who he was. And now I'm in the process of remembering. We are one with God. As a friend says, we are waves in the ocean of God, each unique in our expression. We will rise and fall, ebb and flow, but we can never be separated from divine source. What a relief. One day, I know that I will choose, I think, hopefully happily, to release my human shell, but I will not die. We will not die. And in the meantime, we can rise, and we will rise, and we will rise. We will choose again and choose again. Life, love, connection. And so it is. Thank you.
Well, so often the Easter message is about a risen body. It's not the way that I look at it, but I see it much more as a breakthrough, a breaking out of the tomb, and as Lisa just mentioned, a reaching towards the light. How do we move towards the light? So it's a story about breaking through and reaching upward. And this was such a big part of Jesus' teachings. He urged us to stay strong and to see how we could move that little bit closer. And it's such an inspiration. Jesus showed a way that can work for all. And whether we're Christian or not, whether we believe in God or not, Jesus was a teacher that showed us practical ways that we could have a better life. It's really that simple. And if we can put aside the religion about Jesus and instead pay attention to his core teachings, we find that he asks us to live in a certain way. And we've spoken about that often here. He said, live from the inside out. Care about others. He believed that there was something in each of us that is so much greater than anything that confronts us. And he said, don't worship me, follow me. So today we've heard some of the symbolism of Easter, and Carol spoke about the crucifixion, all the crossing out. She's had a busy month, as we heard. And I have to say, I still have my iPod, it's stored away. Lisa discussed the resurrection and gave a personal story of how she rose up, how she got through and showed up, and it's something that we're all called to do. And now we arrive at ascension. Ascension is the shift from the human self to the spiritual self. And this is the final step in the attainment of the Christ self. Charles Fillmore, the co-founder of Unity, describes it in this way. He said, ascension is when we can put on a new self, when we can put away our old ways, our errors, our limitations, and have a new experience. Ascension is when we know the Christ in us and we can bring that Christ self forward into expression. Over the 40 days of Lent, Jesus ministered to his disciples, and it must have been an intensely powerful experience for them, for he was preparing them for his own ascension into heaven. And he says to them, you will receive power when the Holy Spirit has come upon you. And so when we speak of ascension, we're really talking about a soul experience. Science tells us that each of the cells of the body have within them an imprisoned energy. In fact, we're told that one single teardrop has enough force in it to implode or blow up a 6-story building. Imagine that, one teardrop. So how do we release that power that is in each of our cells? Jesus saw that power as divine mind in every cell. He thought that every atom had its own faith center, and he was able to take that energy and release it and cause his cells to finally disappear from physical sight. He was able to purify his body and his mind and his spirit sufficiently that he could ascend into the spiritual ethers. He handed himself over, not my will, but thine be done. This was his declaration, and in doing so, he became receptive, he became open to the divine. He allowed himself to be transformed and to be lifted up. Jesus urged each of us to be the light of the world. He said, don't hide yourself under a bushel. Be out there, shine your light brightly. And I recall the opening song this morning, up, up, up to a higher place, far beyond this time and space. I feel my soul rising to a higher place. My soul has answered the call. So if you feel stuck on anything today, and it may feel a little bit like being in the tomb, it's time to break out of that tomb and to get out and shine your light in the world. Easter is a time to rise up to a new story and to know that life is a cycle of crucifixion, resurrection, and ascension, and that we're part of this endless cycle, and today we're being given an opportunity to rise up to a new beginning. So I say, God bless you all, and happy Easter.
Please stand and join me in singing our next song. I danced in the morning when the world was begun. I danced in the moon and the stars and the sun. And I came down from heaven and I danced on the earth. At Bethlehem I had my birth. Dance there wherever you may be. I am the Lord of the dance city, and I'll lead you all wherever you may be, and I'll lead you all in the dance city. I danced on a Friday when the world turned black. It's hard to dance with the devil on your back. They buried my body and they thought I'd gone. I am the dance and I still go on. Dance wherever you may be. I am the Lord of the dance city, and I'll lead you all wherever you may be, and I'll lead you all in the dance city. They cut me down and I leap up high. I am the life that will never ever die. I'll live in you if you live in me. I am the Lord of the dance city. Dance wherever you may be. I am the Lord of the dance city. I'll lead you all wherever you may be, and I'll lead you all in the dance city.
This is the time in the service when we put ourselves into the law of circulation, knowing that in order to receive, we must give. This morning, you are invited to support your spiritual community and consciousness. I now ask you to take your offering, whether you give electronically, by check, or cash, hold it in your hand, in your heart, as we say these words together. Divine love, one with me, blesses and multiplies all that I am, all that I give, and all that I receive. I am joy-filled and grateful. We have two symbols of blessings today. First is the love offering given this morning. We bless these gifts and are grateful for this opportunity to make a difference in the lives of our spiritual family and our world. Second is the prayer box. In prayer, we expand our awareness that we are expressions of God, and we receive an abundance of all that we need to fulfill our soul's purpose. Thank you. Now is the time in the service that we hold others in prayer. Please speak your loved one's name aloud so that we can collectively hold space. For all the names on our heart, know that you are heard and seen in our collective God mind. Filled with that abundance, please rise and sing with us our prayer of protection. We have two Unity chaplains who will be available for today's service to pray with you. As you move into your week, I invite you to show up in this world as you were wonderfully and beautifully made, in joy and in pure love. May the transformation message dwell in our minds and hearts and consciousness of Easter. Wherever you are, God is.